So, welcome back to day 2 of the TLG Invitational. I'm Shinmiri. I almost said I'm Shinners, by the way. I'm Shinmiri and this is Apero.
Yes! Let it catch on! Let it catch on! I've been trying for so long. Yeah, and we are actually invited straight in. By the way, Skellige has been banned by both of them again, and Bushr will be on blue coin. Maybe just take a very, very quick look at Bushr's decks. We've cast SuMo now for, I think, 2 games in a row, so I think we'll just do you all a favor and skip over that, and just have a really quick look at Bushr's decks here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because we've already talked about Sumo's decks a couple times. Bushr is playing Imperial Formation with Elderbear, so very similar to what Gravish just brought.
Yeah,
So
great.
we
Yeah.
might see some of the similar matchups again, and Sumo's already knows how to beat this deck. He was able to reverse sweep this exact deck, right?
Yeah, and actually, yeah, exactly right. And I think the Blood Money deck is also the same, if I'm not mistaken.
I know that Bushr and Grevish are both part of Team Leviathan Gaming, and they probably practice together. So I think the decks that they brought are actually really, really similar. I don't know. I think the
Yes.
Uprising might
The
have
Uprising deck is different. Yeah.
a small difference. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few differences, I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think pretty similar. So that means that we can probably just jump straight in, to be
Okay.
honest. If
Yeah.
everyone's cool with that, we can give SuMo some sweet relief if we can maybe finally get some sleep in the hopefully not too distant future.
So-
I mean, keeping in mind it is now almost 5:30 a.m. on a Monday morning in China.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. But he's a trooper, and I'm ready. I'm in the client. I've clicked play already. So
Me too.
whenever the players are ready, we will get started here. So with the lineups of Bushr and Grevish being so similar,
Yeah.
I wonder what, if any, of the lessons that Sumo learned through the last match will be applied here to to this series, because the last series was so close. It was so close.
Yeah, that's true, and maybe Busher as well. Maybe he's been watching. I mean, we don't know, and maybe he's also been thinking about this exact same thing. What would he have done differently? What could he have avoided? What pitfalls maybe did he think Grevish fell into that he will hope to avoid? I mean, there are considerations like that he's going to take on board. Presumably, the stealing of the Ugern and not holding onto it too long would be up there for him. But then again, I'm not quite sure how Grevish could have avoided that particular one.
Here we go. Here
Alright.
we go. Losers finals between Bushr and Sumo. Bushr on blue coin. Swap the perspective
Yes.
right there, and we get a nice Naglfar board as well.
Ooh.
So it's going to be Northern Realms on blue versus Syndicate on red. Oh,
And this is-
Sumo gets the red coin this time, so it's a little bit better for him than compared to his matchup versus
Yes,
Grevish.
and we can see here no score so far because this is the first game of this matchup. So we will be getting to see this from the very beginning. This is a best of 5 for anyone just joining us. So either player needs to win 3 times with 3 different decks, in other words, to win once with every deck that they have available to them, in order to move on to the next round and play against the winner of the winners bracket so far, which is Unforgiven from Team Aratuza.
Okay. I was thinking last series was so close, but it was actually like so close to being such a sweep too. So
Yeah.
to being a blowout.
That's
So-
right. That tie in the 3rd game.
The little decisions made by the players here are going to have a big impact on how this series plays out, and we know that Sumo's got to be a lot more exhausted than Bushr, so that might end up coming into play.
Yeah, to put this in context for anyone who hasn't been following the tournament, Busher has now had, 3 hours, 2 hours, I think, to be able to rest from his last match. Relax, have something to eat, maybe watch something on Netflix, have a glass of wine, whatever suits him. And now he's back fresh, ready to go. Sumo, meanwhile, has played, how many games did you say it was, Shinmiri? 6 at this point? 6 games?
6
went in a
matches
row?
already. 6 matches in a row.
6 best of 5s in a row, which started at midday CEST. It's now almost midnight CEST.
Yeah, that's
So,
like went for the last
11
12
and a
hours.
half hours of Gwent. Yeah.
Transformation robs them of speech.
So if you thought 2 hours after your workday was bad, I mean, look at this. This is this is intense and long-lasting concentration that he needs to pull here. Let's talk a little bit about the opener that we've seen from Bushr here.
He's gone with the engine opener, typical for this Northern Realms deck. The frigate into amphibious assault, frigate into, I believe, just the drummer with the TA, with the tactical advantage. So no amphibious assault used just yet.
No. Not yet. And one of the things that we did see was in some of the earlier games that you and I were both saying we really like as a play is seeing the Oneiromancy into the Amphibious Assault, guaranteeing access to that Amphibious Assault later. Of course, that Echo ability only happens once. After that, the card is given doomed and it does not come back again. So there is a consideration to make. Okay, it improves your consistency in the next round, but you don't necessarily want to be doing that in round 1.
Yeah, especially if you think you're going to have to fight for round 2 as well. SuMo here not giving up the round that easily. On Red Coin, he could have taken the easy out and just played 3 garbage cards, get some carryover, maybe pull the Flying Redanian out. But he's committing here Lieutenant Von Hurst with the Horde 5. After playing the 2 Mutants Makers, he does get the Horde 5, and he's able to basically make his own mini frigate at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, that as long as you've got that Horde 5, I mean, he says, okay, you want to produce a 2-point token every turn? I'll do the same thing. On the one hand, Frigate has this crew pocket requirement, which we were talking about earlier, this soldier on either side, but on SuMo's side, he needs to have 5 coins. Of course, it didn't last very long, did it?
No, it got heat waved right away. That's a pretty early heat wave. On only a 4 strength unit, but it does represent 2 points a turn, so heat wave comes down.
And with that, we see Bushr really surging into the lead here, setting up this Temerian drummer, Trident infantry engine, little, engine duo, shall we say. Very typical in Northern Realms. It's been around for a while now, and that's kind of ticking along, but also guaranteeing that if one of them is removed, that crew pocket we were just talking about is still there for the frigate.
Yeah, so now Bushr is getting 4 points per turn and 2 points per turn passively, should he pass. So SuMo's got to do some math here. He's down 20 points, and then there's another 4 coming from this. That's 24, 25. 25 points. He does have 9 coins in his hand. Looks like he's going to actually keep going. Saul, really nice engine with 9 coins right now, and you don't know when you're going to be able to get to 9 coins again, so while you have it...
He's seen the heat wave come out as well. That's the other thing. So he knows that there's no way Saul is getting heat waved, and he's going to keep getting 3 points per turn on the round. So even though Bushr is signaling here that he's not going to just roll over on blue coin and say, all right, fine, the round's yours, he's going to fight it out. But SuMo's also not like, I'm not just going to let you get away with playing only bronzes and 1 heat wave in round 1. I'm not going to give it to you that easily. You got to. I've played a lot of games to get here. It's really late here. I'm going to make it worthwhile now.
I mean, he's still playing Blitz Gwent, though. SuMo is not even taking 2 full seconds to make a decision. Every time Bushr passes it back to him, it's like instant. He already knows what he's going to do before he sees what Bushr's doing.
Yeah, and Bushr is elected to pass here. I mean, it's not super surprising. He does have a lot of power still left in his hand. This Cursed Knight, I'm guessing he's saving it kind of like a quasi-purify.
Yeah, but there's no poison, so...
Yeah, I know, but that's why I'm wondering...
It's not like he really needs it.
I know. But then if he plays it, he goes down to the 4-card limit, I suppose. So he probably wanted to stay on the 5 to protect himself.
SuMo won round 1, but he spent all leader charges to do it.
True.
It was expensive.
Yep.
Let's see if it ends up being worth it. Is he going to push with that round 1 win?
I mean, Bushr very happy with the pulling the amphibious assault here. Sorry to interrupt, Shinmiri, but yeah, he does pull that in, and so he doesn't have to play the Oneiromancy into the amphibious assault. He gets to have both of them available to him. If he is pushed in round 2 by SuMo, he has both of them available to him. He can spend them. He doesn't have to worry because they're going to pop right back on top of his deck going into round 3.
I mean, it's a pretty big deal drawing the amphibious assault because he doesn't have the bomb heaver right now either. So he kind of wanted the Oneiromancy for both the amphibious assault and the bomb heaver. And yeah, we see SuMo trying to go for the aggressive round 2, leading with the scenario. So Bushr's really happy that he does get access to it with the Onirimancer without sacrificing the Amphibious Assault.
Yeah, and he does have the Amphibious Assault and the Frigate in hand, so he won't be going for the Frigate with the Assault. Presumably, he'll be targeting something, maybe even like the Drummer or something similar, something with a low provision cost, where he can get the maximum boost available to him, while also getting an engine on the board.
This is so. This is such a crushing blow to SuMo's game plan. SuMo now, after getting the scenario answered, there's like 0 chance of a 2-0. Like he's not gonna get a 2-0 here.
No.
Because he's down a card, and he's down an entire leader.
Yep.
Bushy's leader in a long round is worth like 15 to 20 points, I think, because of how much synergy you get in the long round, especially if you're able to play it with like a Visagard, which he has in hand, I believe.
Can I just interrupt here, because SuMo is actually taking his time on a decision. And
Oh
it's got
my
me
God.
worried, because he's played the Vivaldi Bank, and I think maybe he was looking for a Seductress, but it was so far down, maybe he decided not to take it, but I mean... Or maybe he just goes for the Flaming Rose Footman. But I'm not sure what he was looking for there. It wasn't what he was looking for, because he was clearly disappointed in what he found. Otherwise, he would not have taken that long.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic of SuMo tonight.
Yeah.
Taking such a long time to make a decision. Jox was the top card of his deck, so doesn't have to actually like spend any coins to utilize him, and he is evolved into phase 2, so he still gets the 12 points, but he doesn't have that additional engine part for playing Firesworn cards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I mean, for those who are just joining us, the reason that we find this really strange is because we've now cast 3 matches of SuMo's more or less in a row, and he has been playing Blitz Gwent the entire time, as Shinmiri said, taking less than 2 seconds for a lot of decisions, really just going all out, no hesitation. Makes sense given his time zone. But so when he actually stops and is really looking at a screen for that long, I start to panic because I'm like, uh-oh, something's gone wrong.
Yeah,
a hitch.
The nice thing about SuMo pushing round 2 here is that, Northern Realms engines do take a while to get going.
Sure.
You have to commit the Carrack Frigate and like the Ana. They don't have great tempo play right away. They find their value over a long round, over many turns. And at least SuMo with a big lead here of 16 points, maybe he can get Bushr to commit the Frigate and then commit the Ana and then pass before he's overtaken. That could be what he's going for.
Yeah, I mean, he still needs to drop a soldier there. And the Curse Knight is not a soldier, it's a knight. The Bomb Heaver is not a soldier, it's a bandit.
The perfect removal. Tribute 0 on the Renegade Mage because he's playing off the books, doesn't take any coins to deal the 3 damage, and then the 2 coins that he has left remaining on the E-Wall to finish it off.
Right.
Yeah, and so Bushr just electing to answer this just with another Amphibious Assault, this time onto the Temerian Drummer as predicted. Just going to go for that 1 point per turn engine, but as he said, takes some time. It's a slow play, so you would assume we're going to see an Ana come out here.
If he doesn't play the Ana, then it's scary to hold on to her as the round dwindles, as you're not really sure if you're gonna have enough points to take it if SuMo does go all in. The big deal for Bushr is that there's no units on the board. There's so few units on his board that he can't buff enough units to get that much value on the Visagard, and Ana just dies right away too. The Pickpocket getting the coins, the E-Wall sticking on the board, down 18 now for Bushr. Does have this big tempo swing from Falibor though, and he has leader charges that he could spend and potentially get ahead here, I think. He needs 19 points to catch up.
Yeah, the Falibor will get full value, so he'll come down for 13.
And then he gets 2 more points from the Drummer, that's 15. And then if he uses both leader charges to spawn that Lyran Scytheman, he could get ahead right here.
Could do it. Yep.
It's probably worth it, I think, because he does also have the nice follow-up Visagard that will ping for, I think, 5 damage. So you can play a 10 tempo Visigoid next turn to stay ahead of whatever
Well, it wouldn't,
Sumo
it wouldn't
plays.
be because the Morels would damage something for 4, so it wouldn't. There wouldn't
Okay.
be 3 boosted or 4 boosted units.
Yeah,
It
so it
only
would be maybe
3.
like 9 instead of 10 points.
Yeah.
Maybe the Ewald will damage something else as well. We'll have to see exactly how
Yeah,
it
good
plays
point.
out. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
He decides to save his leader instead. Decides to
I think he's maybe trying to just tempt the pass here. I don't know.
maybe.
Love to hear him beg for mercy.
Yeah,
So
but it's
so
forced
Bush-
out.
Yeah, Sumo does go all in. We also have to remember that there's a Sly Seductress on Sumo's side that's still
Oh,
growing
gosh,
every
yes,
time.
good point.
Every time
Very
Bushr
good
plays a
point.
unit, including his leader. He needs 23
Oh.
points, gets 2 more points from this.
So he needs 25. He's got the 2 there. It's back down to 23. He gets 13 there. I think. he
And
can
these
do
are
it.
damaged now, so the Visigoid isn't getting as much either.
I think he can still.
I'm pretty sure he can do it
Yeah,
if he
can
goes
still
all
do it.
in.
He can
The
still
question
do it. He
is
has to go all in. He has to
the
play
question
leader.
is, can he do it while saving something? Can he do it while saving either a card or a leader?
Because let's see, if he puts 2 down, then he gets a 5-point Scytheman.
I shan't fail.
I don't
I
think
cannot
so.
fail.
I don't think it's enough. 13, 5, no, plus 7, no.
Yeah, I think he he has to spend everything here.
He does.
If he uses 1 leader char, okay. Visigoid plays for 6, 7, 8 minus 1, 7, 9. He can use 1 leader charge. He can save his. I think.
Are you just saying random numbers now?
No. If I did my math right, I think he uses 1 leader charge and he gets ahead. Oh no, he doesn't. Oh no, he doesn't. It's not enough.
He has to.
It's not enough because he doesn't get another turn on the drummer. It doesn't like come back to him before he passes. So
No, the pass count is.
it is 1 point. 1 point is the difference between saving his leader and having to use it. Exactly not enough. Okay, so Sumo, that push, despite getting his bomb, his scenario bomb heavered, that push was very effective. But now
top
Bushy,
deck battle of the top deck.
but top decks, Bushy is guaranteed awesome top decks.
That's
like-
exactly right.
And look at these bronzes in Sumo's hand.
Ooh, fence. Don't want to see that. Oh, a slice of Ductress. Sea Jackal. Oh, these are.
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no. Oh man. Like Bushy doesn't really find golds either, but he has the amphibious assault and the Oneiromancy. Oh, and he finds a bloody
Oh,
baron.
he finds
so
the Baron.
he gets an Onseus off of the Oneiromancy, and then
How can Sumo? How does Sumo win here? Because even if the Slice of Ductress gets value, which doesn't look particularly likely,
this is
but even if she
a
gets
win for
value-
Bushy for sure. Looking
It
at the
has to
quality
be.
of these hands, and this is the power of these echo cards. These echo cards are
Amazing.
really great for short rounds and long rounds because they give you options on what you want to get. And this was why we were talking about in round 1, Bushy didn't use his Oneiromancy, saved it, and was able to use these echo cards for the first time in round 2 to defend against a bleed, and then still have them for the short round 3 to guarantee decent top decks.
And as we said, even if he hadn't found the Amphibious Assault in round 2, he could have used the Neuromancer to go into the Amphibious Assault, into something else, and still guaranteed himself that delicious top deck of essentially whichever 2 cards he wants, within reason. There are some limitations, of course, for example, with the Amphibious Assault especially, but nevertheless, really very strong cards, not only in and of themselves for consistency, but as we said, for this continued value coming back on top of your deck and making sure that in that short round you can top deck the best cards possible.
Yeah, and this is going to be an Onseus, and Sumo forfeits, saving what little
Saving
time he
time.
can. Going next, and Bushy opens up with a nice 1-0 lead.
There we go. Okay. Wow. That was still pretty fast though, wasn't it? I mean, even though Bushy did take his time a little longer, really gave us a bit of an opportunity to talk, still moving quite quickly here as we rocket along towards deciding who will win this loser's bracket. Who will take 3rd place? So the loser will take 3rd place and go home with $150 plus some, I think you said some powder and some in-game value as well. And the winner will go back up, be shot back up into the winner's bracket and play against Unforgiven, Team Aretusa, new member of Team Aretusa, competitive player, in order to go for that top spot. Interestingly, though, even if the winner of this game wins against Unforgiven in the winner's bracket, they have to play again because we are in a double elimination situation here, and Unforgiven must lose twice in order to lose the series.
All right, and we are now approaching game number 2. SuMo playing Imperial Formation. This is his Masquerade Ball deck with spies on blue coin. Unusual.
Blue.
Yeah, unusual.
Yeah,
for
and
him.
Bushr also choosing to take Syndicate into red coin. Again, as we said, not super surprising. Syndicate kind of representing one of the weaker factions, relatively speaking, so far. As we've said a few times, it is still early in the expansion. We don't know what's going to happen yet. But at this point, still kind of unclear how Syndicate is going to find value from these new cards in the Master Mirror expansion. So Bushr is actually running a pretty classic Syndicate deck. As we said, I don't think there's a single Master Mirror card in this deck.
No, but it's worked for him so far. It's gotten him this far, right?
That's right. And Gravesh too, you know, who was playing the last round against SuMo, also managed to get pretty far with this deck.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show, you know, just because expansions come out, people get really excited about new cards. It doesn't mean you have to play them if there's value, if there's a good enough deck already. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as you said earlier.
Less than 2 seconds, that thirsty dame comes out of SuMo's hand. So we're gonna see Bushr complete the poison here on the Magni division. Yes. These mutated hounds, they recently got changed. They used to be 4 provision cards with 3 power, and now they're 5 provisions with 4 power. It's a little bit of a nerf to the card, but still competitive enough to play with the rest of the poison package in Syndicate.
Yeah, it kind of plays into this whole change that has been happening with the Master Mirror expansion, where there have been a few protections given, or ways in which to make poison a bit less attractive. Of course, Veil being the classic new keyword added, avoiding the ability to add statuses onto a card, including poison, but also a few like little minor nerfs like this that kind of maybe make poison a little bit less attractive.
You know, SuMo's played really slow here. He's gotten his Magni division poisoned, he's played a 4-point Thirsty Dame, and then a 4-point Tourney Joust. He's only ahead by 5 points. Like, can Bushr threaten to win on even here? He needs a 6. But this nothing in his hand actually does that much tempo, other than perhaps like the Azar.
Question.
And SuMo,
So,
yeah.
oh, sorry, go on.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, what is the target of Blood Money here? Like, is he going to just go for something low value just to get the extra coins? Does he use it, on a Thirsty Dame or similar?
I think he can use it on like a Thirsty Dame or an Imperial Enforcer. Those are the big threats.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe even a Brathens or a Cupbearer, maybe just to avoid those Assimilate procs, potentially.
Yeah, maybe, but I think the Imperial Enforcers are probably the #1 target because they are also damage-dealing engines. They're not just boosting engines. They deal damage. They can kill his Seductresses and his other engines.
Yeah.
And Blood Money is a flexible leader. Sometimes you use it for removal. Sometimes you use it on just a short unit to get a lot of coins so that you can get your Horde easier. Maybe pull out your Flying Redanian or get you coins to max out on Sol. There's a lot of different ways that you can use it.
Yeah, but it is kind of, I suppose, if you are going to use it on the Imperial Enforcer, then it's quite nice for SuMo in a way to be able to play that with something like Ramon, for example, in order to play that armor onto the Enforcer and deny Bushr that little bit of extra value through the coins as well.
Bushr choosing to use a Defender so early in round 1. Defender normally... Yeah.
No, I was going to say, I guess it's to protect his spender, but then I noticed he has another Street Urchins in hand, so it's not that.
Yeah, it also gets him 3 coins, so he can like finish off the round with the second Street Urchins to get up to 9 coins. That brings out the Flying Redanian, and that gets him ahead as well.
It doesn't look like he's entirely sure which way he wants to play this, though. Of course, it is always a bit risky to get rid of all your spenders.
I mean, he's got more. He's still got Sea Jackals, right? And I think he has Ewald. And also the Tin Boy can potentially be a spender. Philippa can potentially be a spender in that sort of sense. He doesn't play that second Street Urchins. I don't know if Bushr is going to regret playing the Azar Javed so early in round 1 though. Azar Javed can be really annoying for Nilfgaard when the enforcers are answered.
Yes.
But I
Or
guess
for I mean, this is the
Brothens.
thing for blocking poison, for
Yeah.
blocking, you know, something like Vincent van Molleham, for blocking the Imperial forces. There are a lot of different ways in which that defender can be useful against Nilfgaard later on.
So Bushr does win round 1. We'll see what he does with it. If he decides to try to push, he has the Bomb Heaver for the scenario.
Yep. Yeah, this is something, of course, that there has been a little bit of a pushback on. You know, a lot of artifact removal has been taken out of the game, but notably, Bomb Heaver still sticking around, being a little bit of a thorn in the side, shall we say, of the scenario-based decks, and especially in tournament play, where it's you know, I suppose you have to play this do you or don't you have it in hand game.
Exactly. And but SuMo is not the one who won round 1, so he can't really threaten anything with the scenario here in round
True.
2. He's going to have to decide if he wants to
Play it
if he
or
wants to
avoid
try
it.
to hold it and greed it for round 3, or if he needs to commit it right now.
Yeah, and we see SuMo going for an early poison there on the Sea Jackal.
So Bushr using his Vivaldi Bank for a Sea Jackal, that he was looking for scenario, right?
You would assume.
He was looking for Passiflora, didn't find it, ended up taking a Sea Jackal, spending once to save it from Tourney Joust, but now it's going to get poisoned. He could purify it with the Kalkstein. That is what's going to happen here. He's going to go down to 6 cards. He's actually going to use another tick on the Sea Jackal.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see. I mean, SuMo also has to decide here how far into this round he goes. I mean, looking at his hand, he has a lot of cards that he really likes. I mean, there's not a lot he wants to mess with. I mean, you could argue that maybe he doesn't want the Joachim in hand. He'd rather pull it with the Roderick to get the double proc on the Masquerade Ball. But I mean, these are being picky. I mean, really, he's got a lovely hand.
Wow,
And,
SuMo...
yeah.
Sorry for interrupting,
No,
but
go
SuMo
ahead.
is
No,
being
please.
very stubborn here. Just poisoning the tall Sea Jackal, not answering the Kalkstein, and giving Bushr the opportunity to spend 2 coins to purify the Sea Jackal. Again, it might actually be somewhat of like a bluff, or... Because he doesn't actually have easy access to another poison, right? So
No.
he's asking Bushr, you know, how confident are you that I don't have another poison in my hand? Like, you better spend those 2 coins or you're risking your 10-point spender.
Yeah, true. And I mean, the other thing is, I'm pretty sure the Masquerade Ball is literally the only poison left in his deck. I'm having.
He has a
look through-
Vincent. He has a Vincent that could
Oh,
do
the
it.
Vincent. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
has to
it's
find
not
it.
like, yeah. No, but I'm saying Bushr doesn't know whether he has the Vincent or
Yes,
not.
good point. Good point. Aha.
So Bushr does play it safe and purifies that spender. So like this cupbearer did end up getting some value, even though he doesn't have the follow-up poison. He is able to squeeze an additional 2 value out of it by forcing Bushr to respect the follow-up poison.
Yeah, and SuMo not really committing very much here, just kind of like ticking along, you know, playing his Tawny Joust, getting rid of the Sly Seductress, just kind of saying, okay, you know, let's see how far you're willing to go into this, even though in reality, it's him who's being bled, not the other way around.
Yeah, but Bushr could be
Think it
self-bleeding
based
himself.
on the style. Yeah, you wouldn't think so based on what you're seeing on the screen here. You would, if you didn't see the score on the side, you might assume that it was the other way around right now because
Right.
SuMo is kind of just chuffing along. Chuff.
So my question is, how much does Bushr actually want to push here? Because he's got a lot of cards that needs to be a long round himself. He's got the Saul that needs a long round, Adriano with the Seductress. If he finds Tin Boy, that's a long round card. Imki is a long round card. Passiflora is a long round card. This is also, like, yeah, so I do think that it makes sense for Bushr to pass here.
Yeah.
Pushed a little bit, got some poisons out, but he doesn't want to end up self-bleeding.
Yeah, and we see SuMo pulling into the Sea Jackal that he just nicked with the Yen Invo, but he's not interested in playing that spender when he doesn't have any coin generation on his side, so he lets that one go. He will get a long round 3. The question is, I mean, as we can see, we've still got Saul in Bushr's hand. We've still got Adriano in Bushr's hand. I mean, there's a lot here. Even the Tin Boy, for example, benefits from a long round. So he's not unhappy with a long round, is he, Bushr?
Mulligan's a poison into another poison. That always feels bad. Knowing, oh, into a third poison! Oh, man. So basically had no mulligans in that round for Bushr. You see the Masquerade Ball comes down. I'm sure that will be answered immediately by the Heaver. But with the invocation used up in round 2, SuMo doesn't have a guarantee on what he's going to pull with Joachim. Like, there's a chance that he actually ends up pulling this 4-point Sea Jackal or a 3-point Magna Division with that Joachim. Might have to rely a little bit on getting lucky there. Because it's not like he can use his leader to set it up, because otherwise he misses out on the Fawn.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that Joachim does have going for him is that he only pulls a non-disloyal unit. But unfortunately, I mean, this is not a super spy-heavy deck. And so it's actually the only card that then rules out is the Mage Infiltrator. Every other card is fair play here for Joachim.
I wondered if there was a mistake for Bushy to use Vivaldi Bank in round 2 to push when he didn't have access. He didn't have the Passiflora yet in his hand, and he ends up not drawing it along with the Imki. And Vivaldi Bank is the only kind of tutor card or thinning card that Syndicate has access to here. So this is
and
gonna hurt
of course
quite a bit.
the longer he waits in terms of the game, the further into the game he goes, the better his chances of pulling what he wants with the bank. Of course, because the fewer cards are left in deck, and that means the card he really wants is closer to the top, presumably. So really, you're right, that could have really cost him access to that Passiflora, which could end up deciding it in the end.
I think Busher's gonna end up regretting playing that second round. Let's see. Roderick into Ramon gets an Enforcer. This Enforcer can be killed and dealt with in a variety of different ways. Obviously, the Blood Money can deal 8 damage to it, kill it, and get 2 coins. Which would set up the Philippa or the Ewald to kill the next one.
Yep, exactly what I was thinking. I mean, really, that Ewald can really take advantage of that profit from the coins, and he knows that another one's coming, of course, because he saw that one being played with Ramon, so he knows there's one more in his hand, so he's probably thinking about that as well. How can I deal with this one and set myself up to deal with the next one? And I guess we're going to see he's going to go for the poison route by the looks of it, and on his own card to go for the coins.
Yeah, because he knows he doesn't have the second poison to follow up. Needs the coins for, like, Tin Boy, potentially. For Philippa. So now he can Philippa the one with armor, and Blood Money the one without armor, and get more bang for his buck.
Yeah, I mean, or he could Ewald it as well. I mean, the downside, of course, of all of this is that the longer he waits, the less valuable the soul becomes as well. And if he's spending all his coins on something like Philippa, for example, yeah, here we go, see? Because if he spends all his coins with Philippa or even Ewald or any of those cards, he knows that's going to cost my soul round upon round. Or I should say, turn upon turn.
Yeah, so instead of taking the Philippa right away, he is going to try to get some engine value with this Saul. Maybe play like the Sea Jackal to stall a turn and wait with the Philippa. Oh, and what did I tell you? That invocation ends up putting a garbage card in SuMo's deck, and he pays the price for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's still a 12-point card, but I mean, it does nothing, right? I mean, it's a spender with no coins.
Yeah, and there's no way that he's going to get coins. I mean, maybe with
I mean, the only worst thing he could have pulled is the Magna Division. Everything else would have given him more value than that.
Yeah.
What is it now?
But he does have, like, SuMo is so far ahead right now. SuMo's got 26 points with still 2 pretty big impact golds. Although,
But we do see, look, there is this 9-point thirsty dame sitting there, right? Now, that's a pretty
Oh.
tempting target for Philippa, but the downside is we have Vincent van Moorleghem in SuMo's hand, and if Philippa steals the thirsty dame or any other unit, for example, it will get that spying tag and allow Vincent van Moorleghem to destroy it.
That's very true. So Bushy might be thinking about saving the Philippa for last until he sees the Vincent. Oh, gets the
Mouth.
oh wow, the plays SuMo copying that poison giver. That Fist Tech Trapper doesn't even use it for coins to enable his Jackal to spend, but puts the poison status on the Saul, intending to finish it off with the Vincent.
That's it.
Damn, that is really heads up. That's very impressive. There's so many things.
That's
Nilfgaard
right.
is a really like high skill cap faction now. There's so many different things that you can do with it. So many different lines you can take. All your archetypes kind of overlap with each other. Really enjoyable to see this level of play in Nilfgaard today.
Totally agree. And we are seeing here, I think Bushr is going to go with Tin Boy here. And yeah, he's going to drop that Philippa as the last play. Popping that 2 points of damage onto the melee row and preserving that 9 value in his coin
See, he
purse.
enabled a 16-point kill with that Brothans, whereas otherwise he would have only gotten 4 points on the Joachim instead.
Yeah, we do see game 2 go to SuMo in this case. So we are now 1-1. Bushr to SuMo.
Yeah,
What a matchup.
All
I
tied
love
up.
that.
that was awesome. That was really, really cool. So SuMo's Nilfgaard is through, and Bushr's Northern Realms is through,
Yes.
I believe. And Bushr still has the Imperial Formation deck and the Blood Money deck, whereas SuMo has Death Shadow and Syndicate off the books. Okay. Looks like
The
there's
Syndicate
not
deck
going to
is
be...
going to be a... Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, there looks like there's not going to be much of a break. We're going to jump right into game number 3.
Let's keep it rolling. We need to work out who is going to win this matchup. Who is going back up to the winners bracket to play our current champion? Unforgiven, I should say.
Unforgiven waiting in the grand finals for
Very
the winner of this
patiently.
match. Yeah, he had to wait like 4 or 5 hours. I know it's nothing compared to SuMo, but it's getting late for Unforgiven as well.
Do you know
I
where
believe
he's based?
he's in Iran. I
Oh,
believe.
wow. Okay. Yeah.
It is
So
2:30 in
also
the
playing- yeah, I
it's
was gonna
2:30 in the
say,
morning
playing-
right now in Iran.
Wow. And it just goes to show like how difficult it is to organize these kind of tournaments. There's so many moving parts, so many different time zones you have to take into account. If I were back home in my native Australia, this would also be ridiculous. We would be looking
Yeah.
at 8 a.m. right now for me. So I'm very happy to be in Germany right now
Yeah.
for that reason.
Yeah, we are approaching 12 hours of runtime for this tournament. Let's see
That's
here. Oh.
right. And
Encountered an error, but I believe we will.
yeah, I also got an error, so we'll see if it comes back.
Believe we'll get the invite back in a little bit.
Gosh, there were so many moving parts in that last game. I'm really just, I keep thinking about it, like all these different things that had to be considered. I mean, Bushr did so well there to preserve his coin balance and to really, manage the earner spender scenario, to play around that Vincent van Moorleghem, and yet, he just could not overcome the sheer power there that Nilfgaard brought.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, there you go. I think I pressed it. Oops, I pressed the shop instead. Excuse me, that's my
Uh-oh. Oops.
Maybe
right.
just open some kegs. Why not? Just,
I have to
Keg
be
opening
right back
stream.
in 1 sec.
Okay. It's just you and me, viewers. Just you and me. I don't know what could be going on with Shinmiri. I have no idea. But unfortunately, we used to have this running gag where he had this really messy desk to his side that he never showed on camera. And normally I would be like, hey, Shinmiri, show us your desk. Unfortunately, he's now moved, so it's all ruined. But we will be going here. We are currently 1-1, Bushr and SuMo, going into the third game. No ties yet so far in this matchup. Let's hope there isn't, because SuMo is kind of, I guess I'm going to assume, struggling through the very early hours of the morning right now in China. And here we go. We see Bushr is bringing his Imperial formation, and it is up against Syndicate again on red coin. Lots of people opting to bring Syndicate on red, really trying to give themselves this best shot possible with this deck.
Yeah, because Syndicate has been viewed as like the weakest of the 4 factions that people are bringing, so they want to give it the best chance to win, and that's why they keep prioritizing it as the top red coin deck. If they haven't won with Syndicate yet, they will bring it every time they get red coin.
Yeah, it's right. And it is running Passiflora. We're also seeing a few Flaming Rose clerics, Renegade Mage, a few new cards kind of slipping in there as well. So we will see a few different cards in this particular case, not the same deck that we've been seeing in previous tournaments. Bushr was the one running the more standard, I want to say old school, but it's not really that old school by Gwent standards, but for now, let's say old school blood money deck that we just saw in play.
Yeah, no poisons in this deck. No poison in the Syndicate deck, I should say.
Yeah, and so Bushr here with first say on the blue coin, really thinking about how he's going to open up. Yeah,
I'm flipping I forgot to flip the perspective, but it is flipped now. Bushr on the bottom.
Naughty.
It just got, the board just got a lot darker, by the way. Did you notice that?
Oh, did it? Oh, no, I didn't. I'm not looking at your screen. I'm looking at my own
Oh,
screen, so
okay.
I don't get to see all
Gotcha.
the beautiful things that you bring. Okay. Interesting opening play here. Meadow straight into a tawny joust.
That's the lack of proactive plays.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just the lack of proactive plays, isn't it? There's nothing here for him to do. There was nothing here for him to target, and everything that he's got in his hand, every single bronze, even the cupbearer, everything relies on there being something to target. And sure enough, there we go. He's got that protected meadow, it acts as a soldier, and he can also drop the crossbowman next to it.
You go and pull a dot.
Although I think in this particular case, yeah, that's right. So in other words, just setting up that little soldier crew pocket, as we would say for Northern Realms, for the Alba Spearman.
Yeah. So interesting enough, like Bushr did have the option to open with a tourney joust in his hand instead of playing the Menno, but
Yeah, true,
you would have to
onto the
play it
Jin.
onto the Lamp Jin, which would make a 9. And knowing that SuMo plays poisons in his Syndicate, or no, sorry, not poisons, but like Mariels and potentially Philippa, he might have wanted to avoid playing such a tall target, but it is going to cost him Menno, which could potentially lose him access to something like Bribery that he has not.
Yeah, and
drawn
we
yet.
know that he's not generally afraid of doing that, right? Because didn't he do that in the first game that they had together? He popped the Jin and then dropped the tawny joust?
You might be right.
I think so, because remember we were talking about, I was saying, oh, it doesn't feel good to drop the Philippa on the lamp Jin. I'm pretty sure we had that conversation. Anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. He didn't do it this time, that's all that matters.
That was, I
And
think that was a different match, because
Was it?
Bushr played Northern Realms in the first match, but
I see, yes, I get
it's
you.
been a long day. We've casted a lot of games, so it does blend in a little bit together, and we are rolling. Bushr threatening the poison on the Sol and the Kalkstein.
Half
comes
the
down.
hands are gone, by the way.
Yeah.
Shinmiri. We're still talking about the opening play. Half the hand is gone. But we do see that soul dropping, just getting some value over time. That's what it does best.
Is this deja
And
vu?
it feels like it.
Is there a glitch in the Matrix right now? Because it's now Bushr doing the same cupbearer poison
Hey.
bluff on the Kalkstein, but this time SuMo doesn't elect to purify it, just passes, and alright, the Bushr takes round 1 with the Nilfgaard Elder Bears list, and this is going to put him in a nice position to
Yeah.
kind of have all his big threats in the same round. I so this was the list that Sumo reverse swept against Gravish in the previous series. This Nilfgaard list that Busher's playing right now.
True.
But
Good point.
I believe like a lot of the success that Sumo had against this deck was being able to win round 1 and push something out of this deck in round 2. But this time, no such luck. No, he can't do that anymore because he gave up round 1.
Yeah, exactly right. And important to note that this is not a Spies deck. So this is not running Imperial Enforcers. This is, again, quite an old school deck, as you said, except this time with Brothens added. And I think that's the only change. Really.
Yeah, it looks like it. Brothens is such a good card now, though.
Oh, yeah.
And yep, Busher electing to take the long round, not going to bleed himself this time, and going to save all of his threats along with his defender. And now with the Kalkstein gone and used up in round 1, Sumo has one less answer to that defender. He could still do something like tribute the Mariels or Philippa to steal it, but typically you want those answers, Mariels and Philippa, to actually be used on the threats and not on the defender itself.
And it might not seem super intuitive, but I think Busher is actually happy there that he drew into the Afan. He knows now that he can drop it back into his deck, and he doesn't have to worry about being too greedy with his mulligans. I mean, on the downside, it looks like he did draw into pretty much 3 pretty mediocre bronzes, but nevertheless, it does give him that kind of assurance that he's not going to try mulliganing one of them and catch minus 5 point card.
You know, look at this. He stuck with the turn H-Off that he didn't play in round 1, and that could have been a Menno into a bribery. Like, this is a pretty big deal here, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's true. 'Cause he's got that Skellen now, and that Skellen, I mean, what is it going to replay? I mean, I guess a Royal Decree?
Royal Decree for Ramon or Defender?
Yeah, it would be. I think you play it once for Fion and once for Ramon.
He plays the Royal Decree first for the Defender, and then plays the Stefan to copy the Royal Decree for the Fion, which means he would have to hold one of these for a while.
That's true. And we do see the Bomb Heaver, of course, coming down and just getting rid of that Passiflora nice and early on. No need to keep it on the board.
But here comes another one. There was one Seductress from the scenario, one from hand, and then one from this Adriano the Mink. So it is a little bit of an engine overload going on here for Sumo side. Trying to get all the removal out of Busher.
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, just looking at Bush's side, I mean, okay, he has some poisons there with Morale, and maybe that's the direction he decides to go here. Because if he decides to go with the Helga or the Crossbowman, I mean, they're just a little bit slow. The Helga still has, you know, another round until it's enabled, and it still needs some tactics to really get it rolling. And then the Crossbowman itself, I mean, only damages for 2, and then it's random damage, so it's not particularly helpful either. So really you're going, I guess, Morale or Yen Invo here. I'm not sure.
Busher also has a problem with the Royal Decree. Like, he actually can't play the Defender first to protect his Stefan, because if he plays the Defender off the Royal Decree to protect the Stefan, the last tactic he's played is actually the Paddle Prep. So
very true.
He has to make a very tough decision. Does he, you know, maybe he Royal Decrees for the Ramon first, and then just plays the Stefan naked, unprotected, and hope that it survives in order to use that on Royal Decree?
I mean, he does have all of his leader charges still, so maybe he just tries to protect Stefan using the leader charges rather than using the Defender.
Maybe, but like, even if he boosts it too tall, then Mariels gets a really excellent tribute. If he doesn't boost it tall enough, then Philippa steals it. Like, it's such a difficult thing to play around when both of these are still factors.
And I'm not actually able to check what just happened. I think we were talking and I kind of missed what happened, but one of the Seductresses is gone. I know that much.
He invoed a Seductress.
Okay, it was
this Sly Seductress is now on top of Busher's deck, but there's like no Joachim or anything, so he's not going to have to replay it.
Yeah, he's not worried about it then.
That threat is gone for the time being.
I could still give him another Royal Decree target if he wanted something other than the Defender, I guess. but I don't think he'll take it that way.
5 ounces of just
Kind of like
Crossbowman.
sometimes the thing, I think one of the tricky things with Nilfgaard is that sometimes there are plays you can do, and it kind of feels cool to do them, but they're not necessarily
They're
really
not
great.
they're not necessarily smart.
Kind
They
of
could
like,
be
"Oh,
flashy.
Hey, I wonder if I could do this thing, and then I can get all these points. But then actually, in the end, if you just played it the way you play it every other time, you'll probably be more successful.
All right, so the crossbowman is down. He
a
actually
lieutenant.
Von Hurst on the board with the horde active right now. A lot of threats, you know, a lot of threats that Bushr needs to determine what he wants to remove. I think he might be saving. He's thinking like maybe poison for Seductress. That's why he didn't hit it with the crossbowman.
Yeah, it looks like he's going for Brathens here.
And gonna copy the Seductress.
Yeah. So maybe he will
But that
be
just
bringing that
that just
Seductress
gave
out of
3
his deck.
points. That just gave 3 points to the Seductress playing the Brothens. And then
He
just
doesn't
for his
even
own
get to keep it.
Seductress.
He doesn't even get to keep it. Oh, it hurts.
Ouch. But if he's
Yeah.
able to end up securing the poison on the Seductress, then it
Yeah,
might not
that's
really matter how tall it gets.
Yeah.
But
That's exactly what I was thinking. Of course, the danger here is though the moment he plays Morale, that Philippa could very well just come down and yoink it. And then he doesn't have his second poison. And he could get it from the deck. Sorry, he does have a Fang still in his deck, so he could.
He has a Fangs the Empire,
technically
but
decree it.
are you gonna decree Fangs the Empire while you've got Ramon and Theon still in your deck though? Like the opportunity cost is just huge for Bushr here. You only have one
There's
roll
the
decree.
Helga. Yeah, going up to it.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Did he really want to put that many buffs on it? I think it would have been fine at 8, right? I wonder if he misclicked there. That's a little bit too much, I
There it
think.
is.
I think maybe he meant to do
Oh.
to 8. Because 8 already puts it.
Yeah.
I mean, if he puts it to 8, then off the books gets the Philippa on there, so that's bad too. So I guess he did need to go.
Yeah.
He did need to go to 10, but
He was trying
that
to avoid Philippa.
Mariel's was so juicy. That is some value on the Mariel's right there. And now he's only got
There's
one
some
buff
eel
left.
juice.
Okay, so makes sense here. Plays it as a 5. Now he knows that the capability of the coin capability wasn't there for Philippa to take the Stefan on this turn, so he gets the Stefan safely. He can play the double roll decree right here.
Yes.
One for Ramon, one for Afan. Has to take the Ramon first so that it doesn't end up overwriting the royal decree.
That's right. One for a Fion, I think you meant, not a Fan. Yes.
Yeah, Fion. Exactly. He's
Yeah,
playing
playing it on
actually
the
the
front row.
trifecta here. Wait, is he lining that up? Oh, art fans are gonna be happy. The positioning, Fion and Ramon, you see this sword right here.
Yes, there it
It
is.
is connected, but unfortunately,
doesn't
a
move
fawn is gonna go to the far right, and it's not gonna be with his brothers, with his fellow comrades, Ramon and Fion.
Yeah, and unfortunately here, yes, I was about to say there is a perfect 9-point card for Philippa to come down and steal, and there is that 21-point swing that Syndicate is so well known for, dropping the morale onto the Slice Seductress, of course, now that the Philippa is no longer a threat to steal.
Morale's
it.
guaranteed though to get the value
Guaranteed.
here,
Yeah.
and no more oh there is a spender. He's able to spend most of his coins. Lieutenant Von Hurst. Okay, so the poison, 18.
And
That's
the
that's an
Afan.
8. That's a 7. It's not gonna be quite enough.
Not quite enough.
Sumo takes it by
Sumo-
3 points.
Sumo's rate of winning against this deck is insane. He keeps doing this over and over again. This is what, the 4th time he's beaten this deck? 3 times against Gravesh, and now a 4th time against Bushr.
Yeah, I have to imagine like it was really close. There might have been something that Bushr could have done to change the tides. Like, does anything stick out to you in terms of like?
I mean, maybe
where
the
he
Helga? The Helga is the main thing, I suppose. He could have
What if he just played the Helga as a 4 and not used his charges and allow it to get Philippa'd? Would that have been better?
I think so, wouldn't it? Because when would have been a
It gets answered anyways,
11 point
but you force him.
Philippa?
And then, like,
plus the 2, so 13 point.
I don't know if you can predict it
Philippa
from
and
Bushr's
Morels
side.
would get less. Yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, as we said last time, trying with Nilfgaard, there is so many moving parts, so many different strategies you can play. I mean, you could really... There are many, many, many different ways that game could go, and it is impossible to say, but you have to think that maybe if that Morels hadn't gotten quite as juicy a target...
Or
Maybe.
like there were so many different things. Like the Philippa ended up
Yeah.
getting a 9. Like maybe he could
Yeah.
Bushr might have been able to do something to prevent the Philippa from getting a 9.
Yeah.
The Morels got a 10 with a shield. Like I think it just ended up Bushr ended up giving too much value to the Morels and the Philippa. And if he could have lowered the value on those, SuMo actually didn't have a good spender. He had the Lieutenant as a spender, but he ended up transforming all the zealots that he had available to him. So
That's right.
If-
and we
if
are
you-
now on 2-1 to SuMo. 2-1. So SuMo now only needs one more win, and he has to do it with this Monsters deck.
yeah, and this monster deck has been very successful for SuMo
Yeah.
so far. I haven't been keeping track of the stats, but I feel like he's won most of his games that he's played with this deck. And
Sorry. So can I just interrupt for a second? The round start sign had not even disappeared from the screen before the lava went down on the board. That is how quick
so
this guy
fast.
is. So sorry to interrupt, Shinmiri. Please
SuMo
continue.
is not even going to get to leave here if he wins this game, because he's going to have to play in the grand finals if he wins this versus Unforgiven.
That's right. So you are watching the losers bracket finale here. Whoever loses this match, or whoever loses this matchup, I should say, will come in third place and get themselves 150 American dollars. The winner will go back into the winners bracket. They're guaranteed at least $250 prize pool. They will play against Unforgiven. If they lose, they get the 250, and Unforgiven goes home with 600. If they win, they have to play another best of 5 against Unforgiven in order to secure that true double elimination.
We go where the Empire has
Okay, so
So you could be playing another 2 best of 5s after this,
For
potentially.
young is the night.
I wonder if maybe SuMo actually has somewhere to be, and this is why he's playing
think that
so fast.
somewhere to be is bed.
Possibly. He does matter for the Oniromancy, now having the option of playing a bunch of different things with this Oniromancy. He could play the Squirrel to get rid of... actually, nothing that good in this matchup. Nice sound effects there.
I don't know what
Could be
you're
playing...
talking about.
Could play the Ethereal here, because I think the Ethereal looks really nice.
Yeah, the
He's
Ethereal is
got-
really nice, yeah.
He's got the Night Wraiths and the Rats, and he's got the Brewis to consume the Night Wraith. So perfect,
Yeah, I mean,
perfect
it's-
round for Ethereal.
Yeah, to me it looks like an Ethereal setup here. But
That would...
is it Bushr who's taking his time? I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god, is SuMo taking his time? But no, it's
No, yeah, right.
Phew. Whew. God, I was concerned.
Bushr, deciding what he wants to bleed here. Ends up bleeding the larva.
That's unusual.
That is unusual, because you don't typically want to damage
Bleed
but
a
not kill a
Thrive
Thrive
unit,
unit. Like, he
yeah.
could have bled. Okay, so maybe he's thinking he doesn't want to get the bleed target consumed by Brewis. Okay, and here we go. There's the Ethereal. That's probably gonna lock Bushr out of this round, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious why he would play it next to the Night Wraith there.
Because he wants to consume the Night Wraith with the Brewis, so that
Oh,
he
of
gets
course,
more
he wants to
ones.
consume it. Sorry, I
He
forgot
gets
it was
2 more ones
transform. It's
over
not
here.
going to trigger the Death Wish. Don't mind me. Just having a moment. But yeah, I mean, it is a bit weird, isn't it, to put that bleeding onto a Thrive unit. For those who might not quite understand, maybe a bit newer to the game, Thrive boosts itself every time a unit taller than it is played onto the board. So if you're putting bleeding onto a Thrive unit, you're essentially keeping it at a low level and guaranteeing that it continues to boost itself every single turn.
The crossbowman snipes the 1. That's not bad, but
That's not bad.
SuMo does have the consume here to get more ones in the row. But sniping the 1's still pretty good. It kind of denies 4 points, or yeah, it denies 3 extra points if this round continues to go.
Yeah, and especially with this leader ability, as we said earlier, they're not playing Fruits fruits of
Obvious
his
gear.
gear. Thank you. And so there isn't that opportunity to just keep spawning 1-point units for Ethereal to transform. I mean, this is something where he is actually a little bit limited in terms of what he can do here.
And SuMo does have the second Night Wraith, so he does
Yeah,
have
that's
access
true.
to more ones. This is like a great hand for this round. Double Night Wraith plus the access to the Ethereal. Like, I imagine Bushr's going to have to pass soon, and there it is.
There it
We
is.
just cannot keep up with this Ethereal engine giving 3 points every turn.
Yeah, making that little shuffly line that I like to see there. What do you call it? The zombie shuffle.
Does it bother you that they're not synced up?
It does sometimes, but on the other hand, them not being synced up does make it look a bit more realistic. Because
Yeah.
zombies don't tend to walk in sync with each other. I don't know how many
No.
zombies you've encountered, but as a personal expert, zombies tend to just do their own thing. So, so it does make it a little bit more realistic, but at the same time, it does kind of bother me that they don't sync up. I'm a split. I'm sitting on the fence here, I know, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Round 2, SuMo taking round 1. Probably will push a little bit in round 2, try to get something of value out of Bushr. He doesn't SuMo doesn't care about round length, especially with the Ethereal gone now. The only thing
Yeah.
left in his hand is or in his deck is the Apiarian Phantom that grows, and that potentially
Oswell.
can get answered as well. Oh, so he's actually just gonna go for it right now because he wants this round 2 to be the longest round, is my guess. He actually plays
Yeah.
it before the Indrigal Larva to play around Brothans. I think that's very smart.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense when you have a look at Bush's deck and you have a look at SuMo's deck. There's a lot there that SuMo can use in this round to get ahead, but also he's not scared of a short round. If it comes down to it, a short round is really not that bad for him, as long as he doesn't maybe get a bit unlucky with Karen Thea in his hand. With
Yeah,
with
if he
an
does
Karen
go
Thea-able
into
unit, for example.
if he yeah, so looking at what's left in the deck, nothing's really Karen Theorable, and he would have to hold like a living armor going into round 3. SuMo might also just try to 2-0 here. He does have a pretty good
Yeah.
hand. He has both remaining Crones. He's got the Yagurn, he's got the Renew to combo off of his leader on one of the Crones and the Larva. Like, SuMo has been going for a ton of 2-0s today, as we've seen earlier. And I don't know if that's just necessarily the best strategy for him, but it does save the most time. If you can 2-0 somebody, you save time, right? And that's
Well,
very
that's
in line
true.
with
Hey, and look at this. Look at that. That he has played the Phantom in between the two larvae. And that is probably to avoid exactly what we were talking about last time. The Brathans move into a mage infiltrator, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
Just preventing that spy from insta-killing his larva. He learnt from earlier.
Yeah, he can, Bushr can still royal decree for this Brothans here. The Mage Infiltrator isn't bad. It kills one of the larvae and softens up this Phantom down to a 2. It'll grow back to a 3, and then he can kill it with like a Tourney Joust,
that's
or
true.
whatever.
Yeah, or drop a Helga and something else, and start peeing them off, and maybe even get the other larva as well in the process. Who knows?
Exactly, so that is an option. Seeing the Phantom and the Larva should tell Bushr to respect this push, that there is going to be a lot of power going forward on SuMo's side of the board should he continue playing. And okay, Bushr boosts it up to a 9, boosts the Stefan to a 9. I like the fact that Bushr commits the Stefan so early, because SuMo's deck, while it does have control damage from the Wispus, it requires a little bit of setup. He's gonna go with it right now with the 4 damage, and then leader immediately to the 6 damage, dealing a total of 10, killing the Stefan. I like that a lot as well.
Wow.
So
Nice.
even though Bushr tried to boost it out of damage removal range, didn't quite boost it enough. Maybe, I don't know if he considered the fact that, Wispus could be played twice in one turn due to the leader ability Death Shadow.
Or maybe he just assumed that SuMo wasn't willing to go all in on his leader ability in round 2 yet. Maybe he thought, oh, it's early in round 2. He's not going to commit that much this early, surely. But then again, he set the tone himself by committing that Skellen so early and boosting it up so high. So I guess it was, like for like in the end.
All right, and this Phantom is still growing. SuMo has a pretty nice renew now on this Wispus, which will deal 8 damage if he renews it. It could also deal 10 damage if he plays the Wispus first. This time,
Yeah, that's right.
the Helga comes down. Helga, could get answered here with the ping, the 3 damage ping from the Phantom to get rid of the shield and then renewing. A little bit of an overkill, to be honest, but there are a ton of tactics. Okay, instead of using the ping on the Phantom, he's actually just going to bleed to try to get rid of this shield.
Yeah, that's right. So the bleed on the shield does actually impact the shield. This is one of the things that I've spoken about quite a lot to anyone who's familiar with my videos. The bleed will impact the shield. The shield takes 1 hit of damage no matter how much it is. In this case, it's just 1. Yeah, the bleed hits for 1 at the end of Bushr's turn, and it will release or I guess, get rid of the shield. But if it's armor, the armor isn't affected. So in this case, the shield will be affected and it will open up that opportunity for the Helga to be destroyed.
Yeah, and Bushr knows what the plan is. He knows that SuMo's targeting this Helga and he wants to protect it. So the defender does come down, armors himself, making him a little bit harder to break through. Although 11 health, actually 3 plus 8 is 11. So like the renew plus the Phantom could get through, but nope. SuMo says, I've got enough out of you. The defender's gone. I'm gonna save my
Helga's
removal for
gone.
other stuff. Helga's gone. Pretty good push, I think, by SuMo.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the only tricky thing now is this again. What do you do with it? I mean, you're going into a round against Nilfgaard, who has all these poisons. I suppose you're not too scared of it being destroyed because it can just activate your Osril.
I mean, you're more
But
worried about it getting
nevertheless-
invocationed, I think. Because
Yeah.
invocation kind of destroys it without actually activating your Osril.
Yeah, that's right. And he hasn't seen Invocation yet. He doesn't know that it's still in Bushr's deck. So it's a really good point. Okay, going into round 3. So just to clarify for anyone who's just joining us, SuMo versus Bushr, this is the finale of the losers bracket. SuMo is on 2 versus Bushr, who is on 1 win. So if SuMo wins this round, he will move on to the next stage. I'm not sure if he wants that or not at this point, because it is very early on a Monday morning now for SuMo. And on the one hand, he's already guaranteed cash, but on the other hand, as a competitive player, you don't ever want to throw a match. You can't do it. It's something in here. It doesn't matter how late it's getting. It doesn't matter if you have work that day. It doesn't matter if your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whoever is knocking on the door saying, "Come on, this is ridiculous. What are you doing with your life?" It doesn't matter. You're gonna play it out to the end to the best of your ability.
You don't get that many chances to be in the top 3 of like a Gwent tournament that has $1,000 prize pool.
That's it.
It's a pretty rare occasion these days, and so not just for the money, but also for the glory, right?
Glory. That's all I've got to add to that. Sorry.
And Ramon is going to open this round with the Tortoise. Bushr having a nice proactive play here to get this round started. SuMo, they're on even cards, but SuMo has no leader. He did actually commit the leader in round 2 in order to answer that Stefan. And Bushr still has like kind of 9 points.
9 points
from
up his
leader.
sleeve. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And we see SuMo electing to drop the Bruja Vampire with the Thrive, of course. She's only worth 3 points. So as we can see in his hand, there's quite a few cards that are going to proc that Thrive ability for her. Unfortunately, that bleeding, as we were just saying before, I was talking about the bleeding affecting the shield, it does not affect the armor, so it won't get them any closer to getting that exposed ability on the Tortoise and boosting a unit on SuMo's side by 2. But it doesn't matter at this point anyway, because Menno has just decided to come down and drop, if I'm not mistaken, a Tawny Joust, yes, onto the Bruja and get rid of that little engine.
Looks like he's going to go for
SuMo.
Caranthir here
Yeah,
to copy that
onto the living armor.
living armor, that 13-point bomb play for just 8 provisions. Caranthir, one of Monster's best cards still.
Totally agree.
Even though he's been around for so long, he's he's kind of a card that's like kind of immune to power creep, because as other cards get stronger, he also gets more targets. Like before this expansion, he didn't have Ethereal, and now he has Ethereal as a potential target.
It's very true. The main pitfall, of course, as we were discussing yesterday, is that he does spawn the base copy of a unit, a 1-power base copy of a unit. He doesn't play it, so you don't get any deploy abilities on a card that you spawn with Caranthea. It just puts it on the board. In this case, Living Armor's ability is not a deploy ability. It's just a static ability, if you will. So it will always be worth 10 when it drops, even if it's just spawned.
All right, so do you think Sumo's going to answer this poison in any way? It doesn't look like
he?
it. He has renew into Brewis.
Consume.
Yeah, and
exactly.
then give himself an 18-point unit. So probably not, but he does
Probably not.
decide to go for the Striga, hit the Marl for 4. While he has the dominance, he's going to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. And we think here he's probably going to try holding onto the Ugern until he sees the Yen Invo. But of course, I'm guessing he's not going to see the Yen Invo until the Ugern is dropped, potentially.
Maybe if he plays the Weavis before the Ugern and he gets a really tall unit from the boost on the Weavis, then maybe the Yen Invo comes down early. Looking at what's left in Bushr's deck, Bushr's probably going to take the Brothens with the Roll of Decree at some point.
Yep.
Or he could potentially take the card that he invos from the Roll of Decree.
Do you know what? I mean, he could be thinking about here with this poison, Bushr. He could be going to go for the poison and then even try to bribery into his own Osril at some point.
Wow. So pretty ballsy move by Bushr, holding the 1 strength Marl, not using that poison. I mean, I think it's low risk because he knows that there's not really like a 1 damage thing. Maybe natural selection to kill it, but even if it dies, he's got the Cupbearer to finish the poison off. And it's not like the Purify's not really doing anything at this point. So like by holding the poison, maybe he baits Sumo into killing it, wasting some damage on it, perhaps.
Yeah,
maybe that's what he's thinking.
Point.
Maybe he also, by holding the poison, he can potentially not end up killing this 10 and using the poison on something else with the Cupbearer. There could be a bigger target if something like the Weavis is played, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what direction he takes here. I think, as you predicted, here comes the Brothens into I didn't actually get to see. Yeah, okay, Major Infiltrator. Just going for that 3 damage on adjacent units. 1 on the Living Armor, which drops to 7 because the armor drops to 7, and 1 on the Striga. And there's the Ugern with only 3 armor to protect itself.
That's actually really good timing on the Ugern right after the Brothens, because if the Brothens wasn't played there, he could have killed it with the Infiltrator and then saved his Invo for something else.
Yeah, true. It'll be interesting to see which way. And this is on the one hand, we've spoken a lot about open deck lists and how it can reduce some of that, I suppose, that guessing game that you have to play. Do they have this? Do they run that? Do they run this other thing? But on the flip side, it does lead to situations like this, which are a lot of kind of, do you have it? Do you not have it? And as we see there, the Yen Invo does drop down on the Ugern. And that was kind of one of the things that
I
he
was actually
testing out.
thinking, maybe Bushr could have gone for a bribery there before invoing the Ugern. The Ugern has 3 armor, and if Bushr had briberied into the Apiarian Phantom, he could have done 3 damage to kill it. And then maybe given himself an invo on something else. Like, that could have potentially been a really nice line for him, and then save, like, the Cupbearer. He doesn't have last save. But, so the downside of that is if he does end up killing the Ugern, it gives Sumo a much better Osril. And right now, Sumo's Osril is looking like it's going to kill us. It's going to consume a 6.
Yeah, and I think we just answered the question about why he hasn't poisoned the Living Armor yet. I mean, he knew he was saving the Yen Invo for the Ugern, and he doesn't want to drop anything into the graveyard yet that is going to give Osril a target.
What just happened? Oh, okay.
We just saw a Wispus.
So he just renewed...
Oh, no.
Sumo renewed the Wispus for damage.
Yes. Okay.
Hit this 7+2 armor Tortoise for 8 damage. And then the tortoise boosted the living armor by
Living
3.
armor.
But living armor can't, his power is always equal to the armor, so the boost by 3 didn't actually do anything. But that's why, for anybody who's confused at what just happened there, because of, I mean, I had to take a second look.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sure I saw a boost happen there, but there's nothing in green. What's going on? Yeah, and Bushr trying to play a bit of 3D chess here, trying to think, all right, can I manage to find value here? Oh, there he goes. I was going to say without dropping something into the graveyard, but he was looking for the Osril. He was looking for the Osril. He was doing exactly what I was saying before.
He wanted to,
trying to find himself,
yeah.
but he finds the Gurn himself anyway.
And this Yagurn is gonna live with 1 armor. There's nothing left on SuMo's side that actually does damage. The 13-point Yagurn, and yes, he made his own luck. He tried to make his own luck,
Yeah.
right? By playing the bribery 1 turn early and foregoing the assimilate value on the cupbearer, he opens up the Yagurn as an out for himself, and by killing and finishing the poison on the 10-point living armor, he also opens up Osrel as a really good out, like you were mentioning. So Bushr playing really well there to maximize his odds at finding something powerful on the bribery, and pays off.
Absolutely. Now we will see all of his final leader charges come down. We will see Efan come out for essentially a 9-point leader. This cupbearer is a little bit sad, but it is important to note that he could take the Yagurn because presumably he's been tracking what's been coming out of SuMo's deck, and he knew there are no damage cards left. Not a single one in SuMo's deck.
And
that
it's
is
so
enough.
close. Look
It's
at
enough.
that. It's barely enough. Bushr is able to squeeze out game number 4 by 2 points. These are some really close games. We saw last game decided by 3 points. This game decided by 2 points. Wow. All right, so we're going to a decisive game number 5 again. SuMo cannot catch a break here. Can't finish off Bushr quickly and gets dragged into a game number 5.
Yeah,
The
that's
bribery
right.
came into clutch there.
And you know, it's one of these things. I was watching a few clips from the cast last night, and one of the things I saw someone say said, "Oh, this game can really be decided by 1 point. Like that is some real precision that needs to be brought into play." And it's one of the huge takeaways that you and I are getting from this tournament as well, is that is still the case. Like every little play can count for so many points. I know a lot of the time when you're on the ladder or you're playing the game, it can feel like it doesn't matter how well I play, like this deck is OP or this card is OP or whatever, and it doesn't matter how I play. But these games are kind of showing us that actually there are lots and lots of little ways in which you can optimize your value, and lots of ways in which you might do a line that doesn't seem natural or doesn't seem right for that deck, but actually gets you the points you need to win the game. And it is one of the real complexities of Gwent that I think a lot of us find so thrilling.
Yeah, the thing that I really love about Gwent is that after a win or a loss, a lot of times you can go back and look at decisions that either player made that contributed to that result, and it's not just simply, oh, you know, like other card games that maybe work on a mana system. Oh, I didn't draw my 2-drop, so I lost because the board just snowballed out of my control and there was nothing that I could do.
Yeah,
So
good point.
when-
That ability to review your decisions and kind of see where you might have gone wrong is super important.
Okay, deciding game number 5. Bushr finally having to play Syndicate on blue. This could get a little bit awkward for him, especially against a monster deck. Monster known to be able to kind of abuse red coin a little bit. But no larva.
But then again, I mean, every time we try to make a prediction about which deck is going to take it, we're often proven entirely wrong. So I'm not going to write off anyone just yet, because this is anyone's game right now, and these two players have both proven that they are gonna bring it to this tournament.
No larva here for SuMo, but he does have double Night Wraith into a Neuromancy Ethereal, right? Double Night Wraith into a Neuromancy Ethereal.
Yeah, and he's also got Matter in hand. I'm not sure what that pulls right now, to be honest, but it could also be
would pull a
Ethereal.
Living Armor. Living Armor.
Oh, Living
here.
Armor. Yeah, there it is. I see it. Yeah.
So, this Ethereal is going to be really difficult for Bushr
Yes.
to answer. Bushr's got to be panicking a little bit right now, thinking, oh no, I'm on blue coin. I have no answer to Ethereal. How do I get out of this round without losing on even? Syndicate very vulnerable to losing on even here in this situation.
Yeah, and I was just trying to work out if maybe if he comboed the leader ability with something that maybe he could handle both ethereals in one go, but I don't think he can, not with what he's got.
Yeah, if he had an E-wall,
Ewald.
he could leader plus E-wall, but
Yeah.
leadering in round 1 on blue coin is also a death sentence. So Busher's probably going to go pickpocket into 9 coins, get the Flying Redanian out, and slam the Saw on the board to start getting engine value, and hope that that is enough to stay ahead and get him a pass at some point. But the Saw gets him 3 points a turn, and the Ethereal's getting 3 points a turn, so they kind of cancel out. And the Seductress is getting 1 point a turn. So, I mean,
Witnessed anything
Busher's got more engines.
Can I just duck in there for a second just to talk about that play of the Night Wraith? We can see here that there aren't actually any ways for a SuMo to consume his Night Wraith that he just dropped. So what he did is he popped it in between 2 of the ethereals, spawning the rats to the right and making sure that if, the Night Wraith herself was also transformed into that 4-point play. And that's just one of those examples of what we were talking about before. These little plays, the positioning of this unit where you can get that extra point that could carry you through in a round.
And Busher's spending some coins here to prevent from over-profiting, and then using that Fist Tech to get back up to the maximum of 9 coins, still growing this Saw at 3 points a turn. The Yagurn comes down with 5 armor.
Seeing that poison onto the ethereal maybe makes him feel a little more comfortable about dropping the again.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
Busher,
sure.
as we can see here, still has
Yes.
2 poisons in his hand.
That's right.
But Busher is at 5 cards right now in hand, and if he plays another card, he will go to 4 cards, which is where
danger
SuMo,
zone.
the danger zone, exactly, where SuMo can potentially start like passing for card advantage or winning on even for card advantage. He needs. The good news is the Ethereal train has stopped. The Ethereal train has arrived at Union Station. It's no longer going. No more ones to really consume, or even short units. So he's getting.
I'm not. There's really nothing there.
He needs like 8 points here. Okay, so Busher is going to offer the pass for card advantage to SuMo. SuMo doesn't even
doesn't
think
take
about it.
Doesn't skip a beat.
Doesn't even think about it. And I don't know, I don't know if this is a mistake or not, because now Busher gets to complete the poisons. SuMo even potentially draws Busher a poison with that Mata, because those poisons are 4 provisions.
Yeah.
And now Busher is back kind of ahead.
He's
Doesn't
going
lose his
all
card.
in. Look at this. He's going into the Osril, a round 1 Osril.
Jesus. Round 1 Oswell. Haven't seen that in a long time.
Does
So
he
is back
really
up
want to go to
ahead.
bed that badly?
I mean, we're getting down to cards that Busher doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to play Passiflora. He doesn't
That's
really
true.
want to play Kalkstein. It's not really a great card either, so maybe he will play the Kalkstein. But Mata drawing him the Spender, the Sea Jackal Spender, it's kind of nice because he's got so many coins. The Sea Jackal might be able to just make use of this horde in a little bit. Busher's not going to use it right now. He's going to still stay at 9 coins to get the maximum value. This Saul is so many points. This Saul is 19 points going on 22 soon.
I mean, SuMo maybe just believes he can take it. Maybe he really does think, like, eventually I'm going to get to a point where I can take this round. But
he's
I
got a
don't know,
squirrel.
it's pretty. He's got a squirrel and a renew in his hand. I mean, he could drop the living armor, sure, but then he also has problems with his Karenthir further down the line.
I mean, he could Karenthir like a crone. It's not the best, but it's okay. It gives him 4 more points on leader, so it's like
Yeah.
an 8-point Karenthir, so it's significantly worse. But he's not really sure, right? Oh my god. He's not. Oh no, it's not. It's Busher roping. It's not SuMo roping.
No,
So
no, it's,
I was gonna
it's
say
Busher.
SuMo is actually taking his time for once, but no. SuMo, even if SuMo plays the living armor, he's not even sure if that will win him the round. He doesn't know what exactly is in Busher's hand. He's got the squirrel that he can't play, and he's got the renew that he can't play. Nothing So he actually.
There it
So
is.
I think this was a missed opportunity for Sumo. This might actually cost
I
him the
agree.
whole series. That he didn't take the pass when he had the card advantage when the first
Yeah.
poison came down. He knew he had no answer to the Saul, which ended up getting 25 points in the round.
Jeez.
Oh no. This is actually looking kind of bad for Sumo now. Sumo also doesn't have the Bomb Heaver answer for Passiflora.
That's true. He doesn't run Bomb Heaver in his deck, so there is no answer there. He doesn't run Heat Wave. There is really no answer there for Passiflora at all. So in that respect, it is very nice for Bushr because he can drop it knowing that at least the scenario is safe, if not the first Sly Seductress. And he's going for the pass. He's saying, no, I believe I got this in a long round.
What's he gonna banish? Is it even gonna matter? Probably not. There's no graveyard interaction
Yeah.
on
Perfect round
Bushr's
2
side.
drop, basically.
MVP, most valuable card. Squirrel.
Remember how hyped up everyone got about the squirrel? They saw
Yeah.
the squirrel, they saw the
It was the
owl
first
behind
card
it, and
art
everyone's
that was
like, oh
revealed.
my god, it's Philippa! It's Philippa! I was convinced too. I was not immune to the hype. I'm all about the hype train, as you guys might have gathered. All right, this is not a bad hand here for Sumo, but also
No, not a bad hand for
for
either player.
Bushr. Oh, yeah.
Bushr
A lot of options here.
is missing Philippa and Imki, but he gets one of them, presumably, with
The-
Vivaldi Bank.
yeah.
He has the Blind Eyes to activate the Passiflora, which is going to go uncontested. And Sumo still has to play the Brewis? That's kind of unfortunate that he still has to play the Brewis.
Why?
Why didn't he play the Larva first? Or the
Yes.
Phantom first? I'm also wondering that myself.
Was it a misclick?
I think he just wants to load up the 4 damage. I think he wants to... By playing the Brewis, he loads up the 4
Right.
damage on the Wispus, which would be able to kill like an Ewald or a Seductress or such, right?
Yeah, speaking of which, we see the defender coming down and dropping those 2 scarabs, providing that extra buffer for Bushr to actually protect not so much the scenario, as we said, he knows that that's safe, but the Seductress that it spawns.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there we go,
Karanthir
the Karanthir into living armor.
into living armor. He was able to preserve that living armor from round 1, choosing to pass before playing it, so he does have that target for the Karanthir. But, I mean, not much he can do about these scarabs. He's got the Phantom that can
No.
get one of them.
And he could use the Wispess for the other, but it seems like a bit of a sad play, really,
Yeah.
doesn't it? But he might
Little
not
bit
have
of a
any
waste.
choice. I mean, if Bushr stacks that melee row, I mean, eventually he has to actually play on the back because this Adriano, assuming he takes the tribute, will spawn something. We've got Ewald has to be played on the melee. He will run out of space. He's got more than 4 cards he has to drop.
Yeah, eventually something will be unprotected, but by that time it's not going to matter, I think.
No. By that time, all his engines are going ding, 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 ding. Especially this just basic Sly Seductress, this simple bronze Sly Seductress in his hand. I mean,
Nothing
yes,
tickles
and there it
my
is.
pig. I like a good
He wants to get that down while he can actually have a chance at getting some value from it. Yeah, and there's the Aperian Phantom.
Used
just
right
taking
away.
that- yeah, exactly. No, not waiting at all. Was that... Should he have waited? I mean, if he can't handle both
no,
scarabs
because
in one go...
If he waits, then it gets killed by like a Blood Money or an
Of
Ewald,
course, yeah,
and then
yeah,
he actually just can't get through the Scarabs at that point, or he has to waste even more damage. He has to waste like 6 damage to get through the second Scarab instead of just wasting
Yeah, no.
4 damage. So at this point, like, Sumo can kill like one of these Seductresses, right? He can play Wispus, kill this, this will grow to a 6, and then Leader the Wispus, kill this one at 6 with 6 damage. But it's probably too little too late here. The defender really slowing down his removal, forcing him to use
Yeah.
some of this stuff on the Scarabs.
Which, of course, is exactly what Bushr was hoping to do. And, of course, that kind of provides this situation here where Bushr can do exactly what Syndicate and others as well, like Northern Realms, for example, do best, which is just drop these engines and just profit, and really, right now, not a lot to stop him. There it
Yeah,
is.
Bushr Bushr using the leader to get enough coins to proc the tribute on Adriano. Gets a third Seductress now. And,
Here we go, as
I
predicted.
mean, this is just too many engines. It's too many engines for SuMo to handle. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit wacko. But we know that Death Shadow there, the leader ability there, was able to replay the Whispers, and now there is another Whispers in the graveyard, and that is what is going to be enabled with Renew, and Renew is presumably going to bring her out to get another one of the Seductresses gone. But, I mean, as you said, the Passiflora Peaches are still there. The Sly Seductress, one of the Sly Seductresses will stay on the board.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to stop the Sea Jackal. You're not going to be able to stop Ewald.
I imagine he's gonna renew that Whispus right now to kill this 8-point Seductress before it grows even more. What is Oniromancy getting him? He's getting him the Weavis for a big boost, which will be fine.
I guess. Could. Nah,
Weavis is definitely
you'd
gonna
go
be
for
more
the Weavis,
points. Yeah, it's gonna be
you'd definitely
15
go for the Weavis.
points.
And it means that you could pop something out
Bushr
of
really.
Philippa range.
What is
if you
Bushr
assume that
thinking about?
Philippa is
Bushr's
in his hand.
maybe thinking about.
The ring
Okay,
won't come off. Just take the whole finger.
plays the Spender.
I mean, at this point, he could even just be checking deck lists, making sure there's nothing he's missed.
Yeah, I mean, it is down to the wire. It is down to the last game. This is game number 5 of the losers finals. Whoever wins
That's
this
right.
advances to the grand finals against Unforgiven. And so Busher's just taking his time, trying to make sure that he doesn't make any mistakes. He's covered all of his bases. Oh, he can't
we
even kill
do-
the 8. I messed up. He can't kill the 8 because
Yeah.
there's 2 Seductors. The Renew actually procs him before he gets the Whispus, so he has to kill the smaller one.
That's right. Oof, yeah, I mean, this is coming down to the wire. I mean, you can tell here Bush is slowing right down, really taking his time to consider his plays. Maybe going to go for the Philippa here, but you can see she's right at the end of his deck. So he has to spend some
She is right
serious
at the
coin if
end,
he wants
yeah.
to get her. Right at the bottom of his deck, right where she's the least useful to him.
6
But
coins.
we'll see.
6 coins to spend. If then she would only be able to seize a 3, but maybe he just goes for like Imki instead. Yeah, Imki knows that his engines are probably safe now. There should be no more removal available, and so he just gets some coin value. Sea Jackal can use those. Tin Boy might even be able to use those if he
Yeah,
wants.
and Sea Jackal being quite nice with the boost self by 3 once you're at Horde 7, and that does mean that he can essentially get that little bit extra value out of the coins as well that he wouldn't otherwise get with, say, Street Urchins or something like that, as we see there. Oof.
This is a big finisher play. This is going to be 15 points. But
Is the Tin Boy going to be enough? And he's got with the
he's
coins.
got
you've
9
got it.
coins. I think he plays Tin Boy, doesn't tribute the Tin Boy, and then spends all the coins on the Sea
Yeah.
Jackal, right? So this should be more than enough for Bushy.
Yep.
Bushy does
There
take
it
it.
is. He does take it and takes out the losers bracket series. So we are actually going to see him go back into the winners bracket where he came from, what, 4 hours ago?
Yeah.
And he's gonna
For a
go back there.
rematch
Yeah.
against Unforgiven. This is the rematch of the winners finals between Bushy and Unforgiven. We can take a quick look at what the bracket looks like after
Yes,
all of these games.
please.
Congratulations, Bushy, winning that another 3-2 nail biter. Man, SuMo has had so many 3-2s. If you look at this bracket here, 3-2
that.
versus Piebald, 3-2 versus Mobius, 3-2 versus Gravish, and then finally losing 3-2 to Busher in the losers
Yeah.
finals.
Just an absolutely amazing showing from SuMo there. I mean, what time is it there? I think I've lost track. It's like 7 a.m.
7
at this
o'clock
point.
now.
Yeah, 7 a.m. on a Monday morning in China now. And SuMo has been playing for the last 13 hours of Gwent with, I think the longest break he's had has been 10 or 15 minutes. So just
Yeah.
put that into perspective, that he has gotten to this point against Busher, who has played relatively few games in comparison and had a nice long break while he got to wait around. And SuMo has still, with his lightning Gwent, managed to put in such an amazing showing and sneak through that losers bracket to take home $150. So congratulations to SuMo. What a marathon effort. This guy deserves a statue somewhere, I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then Busher now securing himself top 2, guaranteeing at least $250 in prize money, along with some sweet premium kegs and meteorite powder. Now facing off against Unforgiven in the grand finals.
Yeah, that's
TLG
right.
versus Team Aretuza at grand
That's
finals.
right. TLG versus Team Aretuza. What a great ending to what has been a great competition so far. Of course, it's not over yet. Spiro and Jagaris will be casting this grand finale over on their channel. We will shuffle you that way soon. But it is important before we go to note this that Unforgiven and Busher played each other in the last round of the winners bracket. They're playing each other again now. So they're going to do a best of 5. If at the end of that best of 5, Busher wins, right? Has 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, whatever. If Busher wins, they will play each other in another best of 5. And they have been playing Gwent for 13 hours so far, admittedly with a few breaks this time, but there could be potential for us to see here Unforgiven Busher, Unforgiven Busher, Unforgiven Busher 3 times they will have had to face each other here. So this is really the match to watch, and I'm sure you will have a great time getting to see Spiro and Jag cast it as well. Shinmiri, this has been an excellent night of Gwent.
Indeed, an excellent weekend of Gwent. I've had a great pleasure casting these games with you yesterday and today. We had some great moments, some major highlights from this tournament. Very high level play from the players, and we'll have to see how it all turns out. But any other final words from you, Apero, before we send this over to Spyro and Jagaris?
Just want to thank you for hosting me on your channel and doing all the technical work, I suppose, on your end. Want to thank all of the organizers for having faith in the Shinpero Wonder Duo. Yet again, it is always a pleasure to cast alongside you, do any work with you. It's so much fun. And yeah, I've just had a ball. Yeah, my final word is follow me on Twitter. It's always my final word. Or you can also check me out on YouTube. You just put Apero Gwent into the YouTube search bar and you'll find me. My content is aimed almost exclusively at beginners, so if you are a slightly higher level player, you might find it a bit boring. That's cool, but you can hit subscribe anyway, I don't mind. And other than that, yeah, just thank you to the organizers, to the players, to the other casters who have held down the fort all day long. What a marathon effort from everyone, and it is not over yet, folks. So I am sure it will be a great game or 2 that you're about to go and witness between Unforgiven and Busher, TA versus TLG. Bring it. That's what I have to say.
That was a great way to wrap things up. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day and your weekend. And good luck to Unforgiven and Busher in the finals. We're going to send you over to Spiro and Jagaris. Have fun, guys, and good night.